Hey brother, one of the most brutal truths you'll ever have to accept is that the idea of lasting, unconditional loyalty from a woman is often just an illusion. We grow up on stories, movies, and beliefs that once a woman chooses you, once she says those words, "I love you," you've made it. You think the bond is sealed, that the love will remain through thick and thin. But what most men don't realize is that many women aren't wired for permanence, they're wired for emotion. And emotions are unstable. What she feels when she falls in love is real, no doubt. But feelings are like tides, they rise, they fall, they shift. And because her loyalty is tied to her emotional state, the moment those feelings start to change, so does her connection to you. It's not always intentional. She's not always plotting to hurt you. Often, she doesn't even realize it's happening. One day she's warm, invested, deeply in love. A few months later, something feels off. She says she's confused. She says, "I don't know what I feel anymore." And you're left standing there, stunned, because nothing major even happened. That's what makes it so painful, her feelings changed, and there was no warning. Brother, this is why so many men get blindsided. Because we operate from commitment, from choice, from logic. We say, "I picked her. I stay." But she operates from emotion, "I feel secure, I feel happy, I stay." When the feeling dies, the relationship dies. And it's not that you did anything wrong, it's that she never learned to love past her emotions. That's why the truth is so bitter. You believed love was permanent. She believed love was a feeling. And when that feeling left, so did her loyalty. One thing you need to understand early is that loyalty doesn't mean the same thing to women as it does to men. For us, it's logical. We make a choice, we commit, we stand by it. Even when things get rough, we remind ourselves of the promise we made. But for many women, loyalty isn't rooted in principle, it's rooted in emotion. She's loyal when she feels good, when she feels desired, appreciated, and excited. The moment those feelings shift, her loyalty starts to weaken. And the dangerous part? This shift can be silent. Subtle. You won't even see it coming until it's too late. She might still smile at you. Still say, "I love you." But inside, her emotional bond is slipping. Modern culture reinforces this mindset. She's constantly told to chase her happiness, to follow her heart no matter what. She's not taught to hold the line, to stay grounded when emotions change. Instead, she's taught that if she's not being fulfilled every second, it's okay to leave. So what happens? She equates emotional discomfort with a failing relationship. Instead of working through it, she checks out. She doesn't understand that feelings fluctuate in any long-term commitment. Instead, she sees emotional dips as red flags, when they're just normal parts of love. You, on the other hand, stay through your ups and downs because your loyalty is a decision, not a reaction. And this difference creates a huge gap in relationships. You're committed to her regardless of the mood. She's committed to the mood, not necessarily to you. That's why so many men feel betrayed, not because they weren't enough, but because they expected her to value loyalty the same way. But brother, once you see this clearly, you stop living in denial. You stop confusing emotions with devotion. Brother, social media has quietly become one of the most powerful threats to loyalty in modern relationships. In the past, a woman's loyalty was tested by the people in her immediate surroundings, coworkers, neighbors, maybe a few strangers. Today, every time she opens her phone, she's exposed to a flood of attention from hundreds, sometimes thousands, of men. Likes, comments, DMs, subtle compliments, and digital flirtation have become the new normal. Even if she never replies, that constant validation begins to affect her mindset. It plants a seed of comparison. She starts thinking, if so many men desire me, why should I settle for what I have? It's not always conscious, but over time, it chips away at her commitment. The attention feels good. It becomes addictive. She starts craving the emotional high that comes from digital praise, something a stable, loyal relationship can't constantly provide. Consistency starts to feel dull in comparison to the constant novelty of online flattery. The man she once valued begins to seem ordinary, not because he changed, but because her perception did. She begins comparing his steady loyalty to the fantasy versions of men she sees online, men who only show their highlight reels, who don't have to deal with her moods, and who never stop praising her. What makes it worse is how this culture of instant attention makes real commitment feel less exciting. She might still care about her partner, but the temptation of more excitement, more attention, more options, pulls at her constantly. The presence of endless possibilities makes it harder for her to stay grounded in one reality. And when emotions become the compass, the allure of something new often outweighs the comfort of something real. This slow erosion doesn't happen overnight, but when it's complete, loyalty feels like a thing of the past. Many women confuse stability with boredom, and this misunderstanding becomes a silent killer of loyalty. They say they want a good man, someone who is consistent, loving, and reliable. And when they finally get him, it feels good at first. The safety, the structure, the peace, it all feels like love. But over time, that peace begins to feel predictable. The consistent affection they once craved now seems routine. The excitement fades, not because the love is gone, but because they've mistaken emotional intensity for connection. And in that emotional lull, they begin to question everything. The truth is, many women are addicted to the feeling of newness. They romanticize chaos, equating it with passion. When a man creates a stable environment, it often lacks the drama and unpredictability they've associated with love from past experiences or media. So instead of appreciating the quiet strength of consistency, they start craving the adrenaline of something unknown. The butterflies of a new conversation. The attention of someone who hasn't earned their heart yet. That craving leads them to believe something is missing, even when nothing is. This is why some women leave relationships that seemed perfect. Not because they weren't loved, but because they mistook emotional stillness for emotional death. They chase sparks, forgetting that sparks are momentary, while real fire is built slowly and maintained with intention. But in chasing fleeting thrills, they often destroy the very foundation that could have held a lasting love. And by the time they realize what they had, it's often too late. Loyalty requires discipline, and discipline is increasingly rare in a culture that glorifies indulgence. To remain loyal means to resist temptation, to deny impulses, and to stay grounded in principle rather than emotion. But modern narratives often tell women the opposite. They're encouraged to follow their feelings, to do what makes them happy, and to leave behind anything that feels restrictive, even if that restriction is actually commitment. The idea of enduring discomfort for the sake of a deeper bond is no longer widely celebrated, instead, it's viewed as settling or self-denial. In this mindset, long-term loyalty becomes optional. When the relationship no longer provides an emotional high, when there's stress, boredom, or hardship, walking away isn't seen as weakness, it's framed as empowerment. The idea of working through problems, staying faithful through emotional droughts, or honoring a decision despite changing feelings becomes foreign. And because many women have never had to truly build the muscle of delayed gratification, they often don't recognize the value of loyalty until it's lost. Even in committed relationships, some keep one foot out the door. Entertaining attention from others, keeping harmless conversations going, maintaining emotional backups, it all shows a lack of inner discipline. These aren't just casual actions, they're warning signs. Discipline means shutting doors, not just physically but mentally and emotionally. It means saying no when no one's watching. Without that discipline, loyalty can't survive. And in a world that praises following every impulse, that kind of restraint has become the exception, not the norm. Many women confuse loyalty with convenience. As long as their needs are being met, emotional attention, financial support, security, affection, they remain in the relationship. But the moment those comforts are challenged, loyalty often begins to crumble. It's not that the love was never there, but rather that the commitment was conditional. When things are easy, staying feels effortless. But when the storm comes, when money runs low, stress rises, or attention is temporarily diverted, the foundation is tested. And too often, it breaks. True loyalty reveals itself in hardship, not in comfort. But many relationships today are built on how someone makes the other feel rather than who they are when the feelings fade. So when a man struggles, loses focus, or momentarily pulls back to realign with his purpose, the woman who once praised his ambition may suddenly grow distant. Not because he became someone different, but because her comfort was disrupted. Her loyalty wasn't to him, it was to how he made her feel. This is why so many men feel abandoned at their lowest. They gave everything when things were good, only to be left when they needed support the most. Real loyalty doesn't walk away when the skies turn gray. It stands in the rain. But many women haven't been taught to see loyalty as a duty, it's seen as an emotional luxury, only to be maintained when it feels good. And when it no longer serves their immediate happiness, they convince themselves they're doing what's best, without seeing it for what it truly is, abandonment. Women often hold double standards when it comes to loyalty, expecting unwavering faithfulness from their partners while not holding themselves to the same level of accountability. This emotional double standard creates confusion and frustration for men who find themselves trying to navigate a landscape where their own temptations and boundaries are judged harshly, but their partner's impulses are excused or even celebrated. Many women see their desires and emotional shifts as natural and inevitable, while viewing similar behavior from men as betrayal or failure. This imbalance stems from how society teaches men and women different lessons about responsibility and consequences. Men are often socialized to suppress impulses and maintain discipline, with loyalty framed as a measure of their character and worth. Women, on the other hand, are frequently encouraged to prioritize feelings, self-discovery, and personal happiness, sometimes at the expense of commitment. As a result, women might expect their partners to resist temptation while giving themselves permission to follow their hearts wherever they lead. This dynamic leads to misunderstandings and broken trust, because the rules feel unfair and uneven. Men may feel blindsided when they're held to high standards but don't see the same standards applied equally to their partners. Without recognizing this, men often exhaust themselves trying to fix a situation that isn't about fixing, it's about accepting the reality of emotional double standards. Understanding this imbalance is crucial. It helps men stop internalizing blame for situations beyond their control and instead focus on protecting their own integrity by setting clear boundaries and recognizing when loyalty is genuine, and when it's conditional or inconsistent. One of the most overlooked reasons women struggle with loyalty is because loyalty often feels invisible to them. It's not something that demands attention in the moment, it quietly operates in the background of everyday life. A woman doesn't usually wake up and actively notice her partner's loyalty. She might not consciously appreciate the small, consistent actions that build trust and security over time, things like showing up, being dependable, or choosing her repeatedly without drama. Instead, loyalty is often taken for granted until it suddenly disappears. On the other hand, what grabs attention immediately is excitement, novelty, and visible displays of interest, whether from her partner or from others. When other men show attention, it's obvious and stimulating, providing an immediate rush of validation and desire. This new excitement feels tangible and thrilling, while loyalty feels ordinary and expected. The problem is that humans are naturally drawn to what feels exciting and novel, often overlooking the quiet strength of steady loyalty. Because loyalty is invisible, it's easy for it to lose its perceived value until the foundation built on it starts to crack. When a woman finally realizes loyalty was the security she depended on, it's often too late. By then, the emotional connection may have eroded or the relationship may have ended. This lack of recognition makes loyalty fragile. It's not that women don't value loyalty when they see its absence, but the constant presence of loyalty is like air, it's easy to forget its importance until it's gone. Understanding this dynamic can help men better appreciate their own consistency and encourage women to recognize and honor loyalty before it's lost. One of the deepest reasons women struggle to stay loyal lies in their emotional wiring and how it interacts with the modern world's endless options. Women are biologically inclined toward hypergamy, the tendency to seek the best possible mate in terms of strength, success, confidence, and status. This instinct, which once served to secure the best environment for raising children, now plays out in a world overflowing with choices and constant temptation. It doesn't mean every woman cheats or is disloyal, but it does mean every woman is constantly evaluating her options, consciously or unconsciously. In previous generations, this evaluation was limited by social circles and geographic boundaries. Today, social media, dating apps, and instant communication expose women to an endless parade of potential partners daily. The sheer volume of options creates a restless mindset where the grass often seems greener elsewhere. When a man isn't consistently strong in his purpose, confident in his identity, and unwavering in his standards, it's easy for her to believe she can find better elsewhere. This gradual shift chips away at loyalty quietly over time, until one day she walks away, not necessarily because of any single failure on his part, but because she let hypergamy dictate her heart. This tendency is further complicated by cultural narratives that encourage women to seek personal happiness above all else. Sacrifice and endurance, which are essential to loyalty, are often framed as outdated or oppressive. Instead, women are told to follow their feelings, avoid discomfort, and never settle. When challenges arise, the first instinct can be to leave rather than to stay and work through difficulties. This mindset undermines the foundation of loyalty, which requires patience, sacrifice, and discipline. Understanding this helps men realize that loyalty is less about them and more about whether a woman has developed the character and mindset to resist these pressures. It's not a reflection of a man's worth if she struggles to stay loyal, it's a reflection of her own inner battle with impulse, cultural conditioning, and biological drives. This awareness allows men to protect themselves by recognizing patterns early and holding firm to their standards without taking disloyalty personally. Loyalty is a rare and precious quality, rooted not in fleeting emotions but in deep values like discipline, sacrifice, and integrity. In today's world, where instant gratification and endless options cloud judgment, many women struggle to maintain loyalty, not because of a lack of love, but because loyalty demands a strength that goes beyond feelings. For men, understanding this truth is crucial. It's about recognizing patterns, setting high standards, and most importantly, being loyal to yourself first. When you stop expecting perfection and instead demand integrity, you protect your heart and your future. Remember, loyalty can't be forced or taught, it's earned and proven over time. Stand firm in your worth, and don't settle for anything less than a partner who truly values the sacredness of commitment. If you found this insight valuable, subscribe for more honest conversations and real talk about relationships, loyalty, and self-growth. Your journey to understanding and strength starts here.